Derrick Harmon, defensive tackle from Oregon, also played at Michigan State before transferring. And obviously, if you guys know my background, I worked in Lansing for a little bit, so I was able to kind of pull some nuggets about Derrick Harmon from the Michigan State guys that I still know who are over there. So I got some nuggets on the guy. So experts are comparing him to Chris Jones. That's the all NFL draft experts are saying he plays a lot like Chris Jones. And he says it too. The two guys he models his game after is Cam Hayward and Chris Jones. Two great defensive tackles to model your game after. Chris Jones and Cam Hayward, a hybrid between the guys. If you guys look at his tape, phenomenal tape. And just listening to him talk, and a lot of scouts say that you go back to look at his best games over his college career. Look at his games against Ohio State when he was in Michigan State, as well as his games against Ohio State while he was at Oregon. Those are his best games. And it's a beautiful thing because we're just talking at the beginning of the show. We're talking about how Ohio State has a stout offensive line. All these guys are probably going to go in the first 3 rounds of the draft. And every year, Ohio State has guys going in the first 3 rounds of the draft. So the fact that his best games have come against the best talent tells you a lot about this guy. 6'4.5", 313 pounds. So he's a big boy. He's a big kid. Most pressures by defensive tackle this past year with 55. Second in pressure rate by defensive tackle at 10.7%. And number 4 in pass rush win rate at 17.6%. Pretty damn good for a defensive tackle. Has played anywhere from 1 technique to the 5 technique. So I had a chance to talk to some of his Michigan State teammates, and I asked a big question because a lot of the question is being able to have to play next to Chris Jones. Can he play at the 0 technique? Because I know everyone's talking about, he can't play nose, but like he can do everything else, but he just can't play nose. I talked to these guys know ball. These guys play defense at Michigan State, and I was just asking him how would he be next to Chris Jones. He said unreal. Just give me a bunch of fire emojis. It'd be an unreal pairing, but I don't think he's going to get to you guys at 31. But definitely, he can play 0 to 5. He can play anywhere on the line. That's the thing, though. So when you look at his kind of mock draft appeal with him, he could go anywhere from – it's kind of a weird thing with him. You could go anywhere from 12, and I've seen him go all the way to 32 where the Eagles pick, and in a variation of mock drafts I've looked at. So, again, these experts don't really know what the heck is going on. It's all prediction game. But, yeah, fast, twitchy, strong. He could do it all. You should definitely go watch his Ohio State tape because the guy I'm going to talk about later on, he gets in the backfield and literally takes the ball out of the guy's hands. This guy's a beast. But again, I bring him up while he's haven't projected to have him go in the top 12. I bring him up because the Chiefs have formally interviewed this guy. So if the Chiefs are a fan of this guy, and we've seen us trade up in first rounds to go get a guy if we feel like he's fallen a little bit and we think we have to go up to get him, we could do that. We formally interviewed him. So that's kind of the thing here with Derrick Harmon. But Derrick Harmon and Chris Jones, if we were to get these two together, this would be what JD and I have been waiting for the last 4 years. This is what our dreams have been made of, is having a guy like this next to Chris Jones, just be an unbelievable tandem together. So Derrick Harmon is my draft crush that I hope the Chiefs can get within the first round of this year's draft. What are your guys' takes on Derrick Harmon?
I mean, I think every team could use a guy like this. Like you said, when you look at his film, he's absolutely destroying, guards in front of him. Like you said, he has the versatility. He can play inside if he wanted to. 3, 5. Can he play the nose? Sure, he could. Play in the shade, that's to him, being the size that he is, I don't think it would be a difficult thing with him whatsoever. And so, when I looked at him on tape, here's another guy that I like. He's and like you said, I don't know if he'll be able to fall to us. I don't know if he will be able to. If he does, that's another guy I'm like, man, go ahead and get him. Go ahead and pick a guy like that up. But on the slot, they had 3 guys. Nolan first. They had, I think, Grant, and then it was Derrick Harmon, as far as like how they had him rated, as far as the grades. So he's right there with the same class of those guys. I think, Nolan's tad bit faster, and Derrick Harmon's a little bit bigger. So, you pick what you want as far as, what you're going to get with this guy. But I think Derrick Harmon, man, he's going to be a hard worker, man. He's a starter in this league immediately, come and make an impact.
4.9540 is what he ran. So, I mean, for that size, to go below, to go sub 5 at that size, is pretty good.
Yeah.
So the numerous pods I listened to took notes on him too. So he was mostly run stuffing when he played for MSU. He dropped some weight when he moved on to Oregon. So it definitely improved his quickness. Extremely high pass rushing grade, 97 percentile, high run stuffing. They said he was pushed a little off ball soon after he lost the weight. They said as the season went on, he kind of adjusted to playing with the lighter weight and looked a lot better as it went on, holding his ground. So they just said he just lost so much weight that he kind of just had to, readjust himself to not playing the same way, right?
Yeah.
Great footwork, plays through contact, plays through plays. He chops, he crosses, he has fast hands, high IQ. And then the player comps I saw were Christian Barmore, Daquan Jones. Multiple people had Daquan Jones on them. So those are his comps.
Yeah, one thing I did see was the fact that kind of what you said, playing at Michigan State, he was a kind of different kind of guy to where he was at Oregon. But that just shows you he can kind of like transition and change up when need be. And obviously, in the NFL, teams change, right? So like if Chris Jones does go, he doesn't have to be a different type of defensive tackle for us. Like he can make that change. And also too, when you're playing at Michigan State, the talent you have around you isn't the talent you have at Ohio State or at Oregon. So it's, just very different in general. So the fact that he was able to shine at Michigan State and also change up his role a little bit at Oregon and shine the way he did, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To have two Chris Joneses on the line would be pretty nice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't know if he's Chris Jones yet. He wants to be.
Yeah.
It's one thing to say, right? So it's almost like that one joke is talking about, yeah, I'm gonna run a 4.2 or 4.1. And so he ran like a 4.7. I don't know. That's right.
Yeah, no, I saw it was a Texas receiver, I think.
Yeah, a Texas receiver. Worthy like, man, they all want to be like me.
Bond.
Yeah, Bond.
Bond.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good to say, you like you model off of Cam Hayward and Chris Jones. And all you have to do is show up just like them. That's it. So,
it's confident.
Yeah. Hey.
Well, I mean, I will say those are the two current guys he should be watching. I mean, the Jones and Hayward are the two defensive tackles you should be watching, quite frankly.
Yeah, absolutely.
D tackle, different kind of D tackle. This is a guy you put next to Jones, not to mirror him, but to do all the dirty work. Clog the lane, clog the hole, hold the line. 6'2", 312, 31.5-inch arms, can get really low. I mean, like some scouts I saw called him the counter to the tush push. His leverage is unmatched. The weightlifting, wrestling standout. He squatted at about 670. Doesn't have a lot of pass rush skills that he showed. No real move repertoire except for a really effective spin move. You watch the thing whips, right? Not the thing. I don't think he can't do it. I just don't think they asked him to do it. I just think he knew what his job was. He went on and did it and dominated at it, right? He knew why he was going to get picked eventually for what he did well. Not very long, not heavy, but plays that way because he's so damn strong. You just can't move him back. One of the younger players in the draft, I think he's about 20 years old, contrary to what we just heard. So that's maybe why, if a guy's not as polished, why he might go earlier, because like, okay, we got time to work with this guy and make him ours, right? We can mold him. One of, if not one of the best nose tackles in the draft. Uses leverage, hand placement. I read a fire hydrant with explosive power was one of ways to describe him. Also impressive at the podium. He was considered a leader on the field. Holds up double teams. Brandon Williams, Daron Payne comps.
Pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Slated to go in the third round.
Third round guy? Okay.
This would be a guy who went another direction in the first and second. Get him maybe at our 95 pick in the late third.
Yeah, he's a true nose tackle. No question about it. I mean, he's there to stop the run, push guys back. He can take double teams all day to get guys loose. And that's the thing about it. When they say polish, you need to be polished on, obviously the pass rush. But when you see a short, squatty guy like this, he's going to win in that run game all day. He's just going to push guys back. And he's going to play on the other side of the line of scrimmage. So that's what you want. You want somebody who's a disruptor. So when we talked about, the guards who's supposed to, make sure the depth of the pocket is good, he's going to challenge that every time. He's going to challenge it every time. It's almost like a Mike Pinnell, young Mike Pinnell, that is explosive and do some things, right? I mean, I think this guy right here, because of his grade, warrants, like you said, maybe a second or third round pick because of what he's able to do. If you want a real run stopper and a plug, this is your guy. There's another guy out there that I like too that I had on the board that play kind of similar to him. So that the Chiefs actually looked at. But Jordan Phillips, I watched him. But you're gonna get what you're gonna get with this guy. So if he's better, you said he's squatting 600 and what?
I think it was around 660, 680. I mean, he was a high school weightlifting champ and a wrestling champ.
That explains his tape, how he gets so low on it.
We were watching. He bunny hops from one like he just bunny hops and gets real low down there. Just lifts you up every time, just power lifting your ass up there.
Yeah,
man, interesting.
Tyleik Williams, Ohio State, who's probably the best.
That's right.
Grant nose tackle in the draft.
Yeah.
So this is the guy that you're saying, hey, we have other needs. Get in the first round. We can get a guy similar to that, just not as dominant in the third round, late third.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was the guy I was talking about. Yep.
Exactly. Tyleik, oh man, his tapes, he's fun to watch too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a guy that we may see end up on this show next week when you guys talk about your our two prospects.
We can do DTs for the entire season, for the entire draft season. By the way, that's how deep this class is.
Seriously,
there's so many. We won't talk about everyone that we like. There are gonna be guys we don't talk about that I will be very happy if we draft them in the top 3-4 rounds. I mean, it's just
absolutely.
There are so many guys that we could walk away with. I'll be check, off the board. It's a loaded class, and so many different varieties of guys give you so many different things. It's pick your poison. You can walk away with a plugger nose tackle and a Chris Jones type clone out of the first 4 rounds if you want.
I mean, as we talked about on the show a couple weeks ago, our D tackle room very empty right now. Very empty. We don't re-sign any of those guys who are free agents. So we're gonna need to fill it up regardless if we bring back guys or go in this draft, and this is the draft to do that. To replenish the room.
Mm-hmm.
Hi everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.